Hello Switchheads, my name's Caden and this is my review for 7 Pirates H. And this one comes with a warning. If you're easily offended or don't like things of a mature nature or even sexual content, then this video may not be for you. So please don't view it and then complain about its content, as you have been warned. This is for 18 plus only viewers. Now that we have gotten that sorted, please do consider supporting the channel by clicking that thanks button below and showing your love with whatever value you feel like supporting the show with. Likewise, subscribe to the channel for more weekly reviews and sales videos, and yes, I try to cover all types of games for a wide variety of players. And lastly, a nice little like would help the channel a lot as well. So let's take a look at what gives 7 Pirates H its more mature rating. Engage. Story. So, as far as I can gather, you're a young female pirate that's looking for some treasure in what seems to be a all-female world, apart from one little creature called Otten that has a male voice. Okay, so far so weird. Armed with a compass that fell on your head, you think you may be some sort of chosen one. The chosen one. Still with me? Great. Then out of the blue, a pink sea lion type thing called Otten lands on you and knocks you out. Convenient not. Causing you to fall in the sea and drift to an island. Waking up was rather awkward. I'll leave that for you to discover yourself. And then discovering the sea lion thing that talks then explains that the compass is used to find these 7 treasure things. And also the power of inducing booby training. And so you both set off for treasure and to find a ship and crew. And yes, I'm fully aware of why some people have come to this game. Right, I'm ready. Are you? Right then, first off, it's probably best I just split this one up a little bit, as there are many different elements to this game, including movement in the world, land and sea, turn-based battles, and that booby training. And if you're running to your room after purchasing this game, tissues at the ready, I would hold off with that sock just yet. So, let us start off with movement. And there are actually 2 different types of movement that you've got. You've got land, which is this. You wander around, creatures that you can fight, as you can see. This is actually in a ship. You can find different like treasures and things. And they're actually coming to attack me. But also treasure chests like these. Ooh, first aid kit. How handy. And then there's things like, there's also the movement in the sea, which is basically this. And yeah, you have like little events that happen, and you can land on different places, and you have like tasks and all that you have to complete on these different places. And yeah, that is basically the movement of the game. Good, eh? Oh, and lastly, before I go, let's not forget that you can actually travel on Otten over water. Whee! So cool. The battle system, just like many JRPGs, is a turn-based system. I do actually like a good turn-based system. Let's take a look at that then, shall we? So here we are, and let's just run into one of these really easy to kill creatures. So here we have our turn-based system, our little wheel thing. Most of them have them. So you got the items desk where you can just pick an item, many of them that you can pick, defense, run away, and then your skills. So you have flash, well, these skills you can just use like this, and they look pretty when you use them. There is one more thing I like to point out as well. If I just move myself over here, there's the Otten charge. This basically, after a while of charging it up, releases a cannon type thing that you do need to use to defeat certain enemies later on. So this works like thus. Thrown. So you can do this in touch, or you can do this in pressing buttons, and as you can see, it puts up that gauge until such an extent that, well, basically he fires this massive cannon, and that should turn base nuss. I'll just destroy these features, should I? There we go. Thank you very much. Good night. Bye bye. Just as an added extra, there is actually a auto run type system as well. Click it with the Y and it just fights for you. I think most of them have that as well. And so let's dive into the parts, pardon the pun, that I'm sure most of you are here for. Booby training. Socks at the ready? Okay then, so welcome to Booby Training 101. There's rather shiftily. So in order to actually do your booby training, and this, as you can see, puts up your stats, you get these booby juice stuff as you actually make your way around the islands and everything, and from defeating things and all that lot. And basically different sorts of booby training can train different stats like health points, attack, defense, and agility and all. So first, there are these eggs that I'm just going to quickly explain. You put them there and you smash them and you get items for doing so. That was a raw egg. That didn't work, but you see where that was going. Yep, another raw egg. This is a little bit embarrassing. Let's try this one, shall we? Yay, I got a rare item. Yep. So, yeah, I've obtained an item from eggs I've collected in-game. And then comes the booby training. Okay, so you select what you want, and then by moving them different directions and the like, you then, and obviously depending on what you pick, you then get to put your stats up. And, yeah, there you go. And also new, like, talents and things. This is an interesting method. There's a dog barking in the background, but it works in a cringy type way. And I guess the fans of the series, this is what you're expecting, I'm guessing. Moving on, and then there's the boobykin. These are not completely what you think they are, but then what else would you call the info givers, shopkeepers, that you can buy and sell goods and also equipment buildingers in exchange for items and money, of course. Roll of eyes. Okay, so there is so much to do in this game, and to remember that I kind of forgot to even use the hand cream. Boom. And if you're here just to improve your golfing, then I'm sure you will be disappointed that there is a lot of reading to be done here. For those who actually love reading, side quests, reading all the information and all of you gather and watch and all that lot of these are JRPGs, then you are well and truly covered here. The game has you travelling on a map on an open sea, revealing more and more of it as you go on. As you travel, you build your crew up and upgrade them individually using the upgrade system. Then uncover more, pardon the pun again, events and story events which will drive the game on. Following the compass will lead to new treasures, and the ultimate goal, is basically to collect the 7 treasures in order to become a famous pirate. The game does fall into a little bit of a gameplay loop and also gets a little grindy at times. For some of the game, I skipped some of the actual dialogue, as meeting some of the actual Monster H women results in long dialogue, fight them, and then they join you. And then there are some boss battles that seem to follow the same path as well, but are harder to defeat, needing the Oton power to actually defeat them. Oh, and as a quick warning, the game only manually saves, so don't be like me and lose a whole hour or so of gameplay by not saving it. Do save it manually, as otherwise you might die and lose everything. The caves in the game, as they're called, thankfully look and feel different-ish, with different H monsters in them that increase in power the further in the game you go and the more islands that you actually visit. You'll also be gathering treasure and items to complete tasks set to you by these boobykin, and this was actually okay, but that's where the grind kind of comes into it as well. It did confuse me at times what to actually do and where to actually go, and I did at one stage get to a point where I was completely flummoxed and I didn't know what to do. So with my head dipped low, I asked Shovelware's and friend of the channel, Luke, who clued me in to what to actually be doing and what I was doing wrong. And I'll be linking his review down below as well, so that you have 2 points and different reviews to go off. But I will say collecting items from fallen H monsters will be a driving force to moving the game forward. As true to a lot of JRPGs, the H monsters have different effects to the characters, like poison and temporarily paralyze. So make sure you got your potions handy, or you could actually find yourself unable to use skills and the like. Oh, and approaching these monsters from behind gives you an advantage, but they can do the same, so be careful, you don't want to get rear-ended. Oh dear. All this said, 7 is a bit of a roller coaster game. It's funny, but then it can be kind of like grindy. It can be fun to play with you wanting to actually push forward to see what's next. But at the same time, it can be, as I said, grindy as heck and make you feel a little weird playing it. You won't want to play this in a room with others with the sound up. There's plenty to do and gather, but in the end, it's all kind of seemingly the same thing with that loop I mentioned above. It's also not the prettiest game I've ever seen, but I kind of feel like this is intentional, as it kind of like reminds me of a PS3-ish or maybe a PS2 game. There's also those hidden walls that you get in, the PS2 and PS3 days where you couldn't just roam everywhere. But I also felt there was a decent amount of creatures, all looking like phallic objects in one way or the other. Audio-wise, it's voiced but not in English, and some of the sounds made me turn the sound down, as I mentioned. Even when I was on my own, it was a little bit cringy, but again, fitting with the general way the game looks. The good. Plenty to do and read. Voiced if you speak the lingo. Interesting upgrade mechanic, that I'm pretty sure some will really like. The bad, grindy, gameplay loop, no autosave, that really annoyed me. Does not look or sound the best. Cringy as heck, in parts. Well, this one was an interesting game to play. So many different potential emotions and experiences on offer. But for me, there was a fair few good points with some negatives that I'm thinking some will, not be calling negatives. 7 seems to be self-aware of what it actually is and who it's actually aiming for. But for me, it's a 3 out of 5. But I'm guessing for those running home, buying this, heading for a private room, tissues and sock at the ready, they'll be giving this one a 5 out of 5. And I'm pretty sure you know who you are. Just make sure that you lock those doors, as you don't really want anyone unexpectedly walking in. And before we get to the alternative, a word from our sponsor, me. Subscribe for your best way to keep up on the latest weekly reviews and sales videos. Support the channel by hitting that thanks button and spending whatever amount you can. And liking this video will help the channel grow. And a big whopping great big thanks to all of you for helping out. On to that alternative. And for this one this week, I'm going to suggest another eastasiasoft game, and that's going to be Empire of Angels 4. It's another turn-based kind of RPG type game that, basically has you wandering around again and fighting in one of them turn-based type 3D styles. This time, it's not so much a 3D wandering around game, but you are once again enlisting a, cast of female warriors. So I'm pretty sure if you're interested in this game, you'll probably be interested in this game. And with that, do you have any thoughts on 7 Pirates H, or indeed a better alternative? Leave it down in the comments if you do. And as usual, if you'd like to continue the conversation, then come join me in our community Discord, where you could do exactly just that. Because life is better when we switch together.